You're good to go.
Okay, good. Well, good evening, everyone. This is Planning Commissioner Chair Kirby Wells. I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that this Planning Commission meeting of June 18th, 2020 will be conducted pursuant to Governor Newsom's Executive Order N2920. The meeting will be held via teleconference, and Planning Commission members will participate via teleconference. These locations are not listed on the agenda and are not accessible to the public. The public is encouraged to listen to the City of Woodland meeting live on Woodland TV Channel 20, and also by going to the City of Woodland website at www.cityofwoodland.org/meetings. If you'd like to make a comment during general public comment or on a specific agenda item, there are 3 ways to do that. First, members of the public are invited to leave a voicemail message at 530-661-5900. Again, 530-661-5900. All voicemail messages received by 6:30 today will be played during the Planning Commission meeting as part of the record at the appropriate time. Again, 530-661-5900. Second, if any member of the public watching the live stream who wishes to make a comment on an item as it is being heard may do so by submitting an email to the following email address prior to public comment on that specific item. And that email address is Planning Commission Meetings, no space, no dots, at thecityofwoodland.org. For emails, please include the agenda item on the subject line. And third, participate via Zoom. You will find a link to the Zoom webinar meeting in the Planning Commission agenda that is posted online. Click on the link to follow the webinar. The webinar ID is listed on the webpage as well. The webinar ID is 921-79009-5836. Again, 921-79009-5836. Or you may access Zoom via phone by dialing 669-900-6833 and then putting in the webinar ID number 921-79009-5836. Again, that phone number 669-900-6833. Please note, all comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes. This includes voicemail messages and email comments submitted to be read on the record. The email shall be read for no more than 3 minutes, and the staff will manage the time remotely. Okay, so Cindy, would you please conduct roll call?
Thank you. We're just working through a couple technical things. I would like to note that I've been in contact with Commissioner Wong, and he is attempting to connect to the meeting. So I will start with roll call. Commissioner Harris, please raise your hand or stay here. I didn't hear anything.
Mute. Maybe this is better.
I'm unmute.
Hi, Cindy.
Okay. Commissioner Hall?
I am present, ma'am.
Commissioner Hurd?
Here.
Commissioner Lizaraga?
I'm here.
Commissioner Lopez?
Here.
Chairperson Wells?
Present.
And Commissioner Wong, I believe he will be connecting with us soon, hopefully. So we do have a quorum.
I'm sorry, Cindy?
We do have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. I now like to request that each member of the commission, also just as for housekeeping, in between when other people are either speaking or staff is making comments, please mute your account so we don't get the background noise, and then unmute when you're ready to respond. So At this point, I'd like to request that each member of the commission respond to these questions. So we'll go down alphabetically, so alphabetically. So Commissioner Harris, can you hear us clearly?
Yes.
Commissioner Holt, can you hear us clearly?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lizaga,
Yes, sir.
excellent. Commissioner Lopez,
Yep.
excellent. Commissioner Wong, if you're available. Okay, so we will wait for Commissioner Wong to come on board. Now item called the, so we called that to order. Does each member of the commission have a copy of the agenda for this meeting? Please note the agenda is visible on the screen. And again, please respond individually. So Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Holt,
Yes, sir.
excellent. Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lizaga. Oh,
Yes, sir.
there we go. Commissioner Lopez,
I read it, so I'm waiting
Perfect.
for it to come up online, but yes.
okay, and Commissioner Wong. Okay, so he's probably still trying to come in. Commission Secretary, Cindy, have you posted the agenda at a location reasonably accessible to the public?
I have.
Excellent, thank you, Cindy. The record should reflect at this moment, we have 6 commissioners online, still awaiting Commissioner Wong. And at this time, I'm requesting that other city officials introduce themselves and their positions so that the record can reflect their attendance.
Cindy Norris, Principal Planner.
Anna Canales, Assistant Planner.
Megan Meyer, Associate Planner.
Excellent, thank you. And Jay, are you online?
Yeah, this is Jay from IT.
Perfect. And for everybody, just comments to Jay, thank you for all your help on all your technical work this last week. We all really appreciate it. Mr. Harris, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'd be glad to. I pledge allegiance to the
To the flag.
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Steve, thank you. Cindy, I don't believe we have any minutes for approval. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Item I, public hearing. Our first item is, or first, Cindy, any communications from the public?
No general communications to the public. I do have a couple of items to
Okay.
report on. So you save those to the end of the meeting.
Okay, let's do that. And let me ask at this point for Commissioner Harris first, and then Commissioner Holt, do we have any subcommittee reports?
None to report.
Also none to report.
Thank you, Commissioner Holt. Okay, our first item is public hearing on the subject is the Woodland Storage roadway / easement summary, vacation or revision to conditions of approval. Staff?
Megan Meyer will give that report.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, just one moment. Can planning commissioners see my screen at this point?
Megan, we see a close-up of you.
Okay. Let me try this one more time here.
There we go.
Sorry about that technical delay there.
That's okay. We're all learning.
So good evening, commissioners. Megan Meyer, Associate Planner. So the project before you this evening is for minor revisions to conditions of approval and roadway vacation in relation to the Woodland Storage Project previously acted upon by Planning Commission at the March 5th meeting this year. As part of the Woodland Storage Development Proposal, the project applicant asked the City of Woodland to vacate a portion of certain public right-of-way and easements through summary vacation. Additionally, subsequent to the March 5th Planning Commission meeting, it was determined by the city attorney that one of the conditions of approval associated with the timing of the easements for the right-of-way vacation needed to be changed as well. So just stepping back here for a moment and refresh everyone on the underlying Woodland Storage Development Project. It consists of a project site with 3 contiguous parcels totaling approximately 6.7 acres, with the main access to the development site located at 1434 East Main Street. The site is bordered by East Main Street to the north, Matmore Road to the west, and State Route 113 to the east. A secondary access point to the development site is located off Matmore Road via an unimproved city right-of-way. Surrounding land uses include a veterinary hospital, an auto body shop to the west, vacant land to the east, and multifamily apartment complex to the south. The project site is designated zoned community commercial. So in my presentation, I'll provide a summary of the minor revisions proposed to the previously approved conditions for the project, along with an overview of the proposed right-of-way vacation. I'm also joined tonight by the city's senior civil engineer, Ed Wisniewski, who can answer any technical questions that commissioners might have on the vacation at the end of the presentation. So looking now at the minor revisions to the previously approved project conditions, upon further discussion of the right-of-way with the vacation, several minor revisions to the conditions were identified where little cleanups could occur to coincide with the review by Planning Commission on the right-of-way vacation. So these minor revisions are called out in strike through and bold in the attachments to the agenda item tonight in your packet, but I would also like to add 2 additional ones for condition 51 and 68 as notated here. Additionally, the other 2 specific changes to the conditions were in regards to the timing of the access easements in relation to the vacation of the right-of-way. And staff also added condition 21 to reflect the request voiced by commissioners at the March 5th Planning Commission meeting that the Woodland Storage Development Project incorporate future housing opportunities. Moving now to discussion on the proposed right-of-way vacation. While the main access to the Woodland Storage Development site will be from East Main Street, the vacated roadway off Matmore Road will serve as a secondary access point. And the proposed right-of-way vacation encompasses an unused portion of public right-of-way located east of Matmore Road and approximately 500 feet south of East Main Street. The unimproved right-of-way ranges in width from 30 to 60 feet wide and is accessed off Matmore Road between Grooming by Elaine and the Woodland Veterinary location. And it extends and terminates at State Route 113 southbound ramp. The city's Development Engineer and Traffic Engineering Division reviewed the request to vacate the right-of-way and came to the conclusion that the roadway was an excess right-of-way and not required for street or highway purposes by the city any longer. The right-of-way had been established prior to the State 113 being erected and would have connected the internal street network within Woodland, but that's no longer required. So as illustrated in the color diagram shown, the first 103 feet approximately of the 60-foot wide right-of-way notated in blue, and also the 10-foot wide PUE notated in red, will be retained by the city of Woodland, with all proposed site infrastructure improvements installed by the applicant. And the remaining right-of-way notated in green and the PUE in yellow will be vacated by the city. And because of the property is not owned by the city in deed, it will be reverted back to the underlying property owners. So the associated access easement to the adjoining or reverted properties will be granted concurrently with the vacation recordation at the city clerk's office. By vacating the excess right-of-way, the city will return the use of the underlying property to the owners and no longer maintain the future use of the vacated portion of that right-of-way. It was determined that the above described portion of the public right-of-way has not served the purpose for which it was acquired, and for at least the past consecutive 5 years. Immediately preceding its vacation is not required for the street or highway purpose. While all the properties adjacent to the right-of-way have primary access off East Main Street or directly from Matmore Road, the access easements will ensure that the adjoining properties maintain secondary access points to their properties. The access easement diagram shown illustrates the area notated in yellow that will be improved and maintained with a two-way private drive aisle. The minor revisions, looking now at the analysis, the minor revisions being proposed to the originally approved conditions of approval for woodland storage do not change the underlying project or basis for the previous Planning Commission's approval of the development project entitlements. Additionally, staff finds that the proposed right-of-way vacation is consistent with the general plan because the project as conditioned has met all development standards set forth in the municipal code. The environmental requirements under CEQA have been met. And the project as designed supports future commercial uses in the area by constructing the private drive. And the project improves ADA access. And the project does not cause any direct or indirect potential adverse impacts. And finally, the unimproved right-of-way is not used and is excess roadway, not required for the city any longer. Planning did receive several emails from the same individual providing comments on the Woodland Storage Development Project. While tonight's item for Woodland Storage is focused on minor cleanup for the conditions and the vacation of the right-of-way, staff has provided a summary of the comments received and has returned comments to the sender. Some of the questions or comments posed may be also directed at upcoming council discussion on the complete project entitlement that still needs to go forward. Comments include discussion on previous East Main Street commercial uses, or preserving, East Main Street commercial uses, and staff has presented that in previous meetings that there was set aside for future commercial uses, substantial set aside for future commercial uses, and a 300 plus setback for the storage area. Additionally, there was comments on the master plan for the entire development, including the housing portion. I would like to notate, and commissioners received confirmation from the applicant that they have engaged an architect to pursue that housing portion and are currently working with staff on the process going forward for that housing to happen. And that was in discussion during this whole project for the master plan of future uses to happen in this location. There was also comment on the gross site area. We are looking at that with the applicant. They had previously provided some information, and so we will get further information at council on that. And then also the exploration of site contamination. I know that was discussed at the previous planning commission meeting as a possibility for the site. They did do a phase 1 environmental and have engaged a group to look at the site further and have done exploration on the site for any potential things that they haven't discovered through their phase 1. Also, number of storage units versus footprint was called out in comments. So we did look at the footprint. Planning tends to look at the footprint of the overall development. We realized that the number of units may vary slightly and is market driven in terms of the size or use of those units, but will not go outside of the footprint that was already discussed at Planning Commission. Perimeter fences was also brought up as a comment, concern about perimeter fences. Planning staff did work with all of the adjoining property owners on the fencing type, and at their request has conditioned the project appropriately for their requests. Additionally, the operating agreement was also commented on. That tends to be the purview of the council, and we'll go forward to them for further discussion as well. And then also finally, the use of potential fines triggered with development phasing. That was part of our conditions. The phasing was very looked at because the city had certain expectations of the development. And the applicant worked with us on that. And there are potential fines triggered if phasing isn't followed as conditioned. But the applicant, I don't think, has any intention of going outside of those conditions. But if that were to happen, those funds do maintain a portion of the CIP project area on East Main Street. So that was part of their comments that commissioners did receive earlier today. In terms of staff environmental review of the proposed, staff finds that the proposed revisions to the conditions of approval do not trigger any changes to the environmental clearance previously conducted as part of the entitlement process for the Woodland Storage Development Project. Additionally, the roadway vacation is categorically exempt under CEQA, and prior clearance was obtained for the Yolo Habitat Conservation Plan for this area. So with that, staff recommends the Planning Commission approve Resolution 2008 for minor revisions to previously approved conditions for woodland storage, and adopt a Resolution 2009 recommending City Council approve a roadway and easement summary vacation in association with the previously approved woodland storage conditional use permit at 1434 East Main Street. I believe that we also have the applicant Patrick Laughlin, who has joined us tonight, along with 2 other members of the applicant team that can also answer any questions that commissioners have.
Megan, thank you. At this time, what we'll do is we'll go down with each commissioner and provide them the opportunity to ask any questions of staff. So let's start with Commissioner Harris. Steve, any questions for staff on this issue?
No questions.
Thank you, Steve. Commissioner Holt, any questions? Chris, for staff?
No questions at this time, sir.
Chris, thank you. Commissioner Hurst, Valerie, any questions for staff on this?
Not at this time.
Valerie. Commissioner Lizarraga, any questions for staff?
No, sir, not at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez, any questions for staff?
No questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. Commissioner Wong, if you're with us, any questions for staff?
No questions.
Excellent. And welcome, Steve, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. And I have no questions for staff. Okay, at this point, we're going to open the hearing on this subject to the public. And I'll ask staff if any public comments have been received by either voicemail, email, or via live Zoom for us to consider at this time.
I do believe that we have some individuals who are on as participants who may wish to participate.
If you are connected and you would like to speak during public comment, can you please raise your hand?
Okay, Cindy, I can't see if anybody is raising their hand from my screen. If they are, could you proactively engage?
We have two folks. Give me, the first one is Bruce Jackson. I will put him live right now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bruce.
Bruce, if you're there, you're live.
I'd like to comment that we do have an email from Mr. Jacks.
Mr. Jacks, I believe that is your microphone. That's
Yeah, is that better?
quite working. That's
Can you
better.
hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear
We
me?
can. Yes, we can.
Okay, I tried to lower. I don't care to speak if you can read my written email submittal.
Okay.
Do that?
Cindy, do we have an email from the participant?
We do. I can read that.
Excellent. And then is there a second person on hold? If they're on hold, why don't we invite them in, and then we can read the emails. What do you think?
Cindy, if you can start reading whenever you'd like.
I thought you were going to invite the other person. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. The other person was Chad, who was one of your applicants.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm happy to start reading. My name is Bruce Jacks, a Woodland resident since 1972. My comments related to the Woodland Storage CUP project are as follows. Another storage locker project in Woodland adds to an already oversaturated market for storage. This project should relocate to the industrial zone to preserve East Main Street commercial corridor for job and sales tax generating business development. Number two, the Woodland general plan goals and policies are to have active commercial use along Main Street. The proposed site layout has the manager's residential unit located on the East Main Street frontage and separated nearly 400 feet from the fenced storage locker location to the south. Consuming valuable East Main Street frontage with a residential unit is an exceptionally poor use of commercial frontage. It is noted that there is no known reason that the storm drainage easement at the southeast corner of the site cannot be abandoned. Development of the drainage easement area provides adequate area to shuffle the storage building layout and locate the manager's unit in the vicinity of the storage building. Other locker sites in Woodland, notably west of the railroad at Gibson Road and east of Highway 113 at East Main Street, have their manager's unit located with the storage lockers 300 and 560 feet, respectively, south of the arterial frontage. These businesses seem to be doing fine. Number three, at a prior public hearing for this project, an adjacent property owner stated a former owner of the CUP site dumped oil for years down an abandoned well on the site. Has this allegation been investigated and confirmed or debunked? If valid, remediation is likely required. Number 4, as part of the project application and concurrent with project approval, the remainder 0.6 acre commercial parcel at the southwest corner of the site should be rezoned to high-density residential. This remainder piece has limited use as a commercial parcel unless developed as an expansion of the storage facility. Number 5, the proposed operating agreement should have an annual increase tied to the CPI or other consumer index. In addition, the operating agreement should have no expiration date. Number 6, the west property line fencing should be CMU only. Wood fencing begins to decay the day after construction. Number 7, Matmore Road access should be extended to the Moore West property line and end in a cul-de-sac. The access road should be fully improved with standard curb, gutter, and sidewalks. This will provide superior development options with public access to 4 separate property owners. The project applicant's storage and remainder parcels, the vet clinic parcel, the pet grooming parcel, and the Moore property. A sketch of the public access described was submitted to the Community Development Department and is attached. Number 8, the city should review its files for financial obligations that may be owed by the vet clinic and the pet grooming parcels to construct the deeded access road serving both parcels. And that's the end of the item.
Great, thank you. That was an excellent, well-written email. Thank you for that involvement. Do we have any other additional emails, Cindy?
Chad Roberts would like to speak.
Okay. Chad, welcome.
Good evening, Chairman Wells, members of the Planning Commission. Chad Roberts on behalf of Pat Laughlin. I don't have anything to add to Megan's report at this time, but we do want to thank Megan and staff for all their work on this project. Also, if there are any questions, I'm here. Pat Laughlin, the applicant, is also on the line as well as the project engineer. So one of us will be happy to answer them. And if not, thank you very much for your time, and we respectfully request you adopt the staff recommendations.
Mr. Roberts, thank you. Cindy, any additional individuals or any communication in addition to this?
I did not have any other emails.
Okay, Cindy, thank you. At this point, I will close the public hearing. And we've already had Chad provide discussion. So at this point, I would like to ask if one of our commissioners would be willing to make a motion on this subject.
Mr. Wells, may I ask a question and follow up, question to staff and follow up to the comments that we just heard?
Absolutely, Commissioner Holt.
Thank you, sir. Cindy or Megan, the item mentioned in, I'm forgetting names, I'm sorry, Mr. Jax's email regarding the cul-de-sac at the end of the access. That would require, and I only looked at kind of his sketch a little bit, but I believe that that requires some aggregation of land from other parcels. Perhaps Woodland Auto Body and others would have to kind of allow kind of some changes to be made to their properties as well. This could cause some kind of extended negotiations to happen and could likely delay the project going forward. Is this something that can be written into a phasing conversation on that agreement when it goes to council under the operating agreement, where perhaps at the time of consideration of development of the westerly property, the retail property, or I'm sorry, the residential property, that they would be asked to engage in good faith negotiations to pull that land together to bring in that cul-de-sac. I think it would add value to all the property owners, but I think it would be a negative thing to try and, force that negotiation at this point, at this late stage of approval on the initial project. Is that something that could be written into the the report to the city. I'm sorry, to the council. I think you're muted, Cindy.
I'll just address your question a little bit, and maybe Ed can jump in as well. But I think the intent of the design was to have future development. We have looked at a master kind of layout of potentially different types of development with the applicant. And so that roadway could be extended and triggered with that future development. You're correct in the width of the roadway, and standards for a cul-de-sac would require potentially a redesign of their project and some acquisition or negotiation with surrounding property owners. So I think this is a portion that is going to have some additional things happen that are triggered at future development phases also, with this property and with others.
Okay, yeah, I would hate.
Have a site as well that is for future commercial.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't want to hinder the beginning of this project, but it certainly seems like it'd be beneficial to a number of those property owners, and would be something that would be valuable to negotiate or to broker from a city council level to help that come to fruition later when it's more appropriate, maybe phase 2 or 3 when the residential comes forward. Thank you.
Okay, Chris, thank you. And now hearing that Chris's and Megan's response to that, do I have a motion by the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman Wells, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we adopt resolution number PC 20 Megan.
08?
08, to approve minor revisions to previously approved conditions and adopt resolution number PC 20 09. 09, recommending the city council approve a roadway and easement summary vacation in association with the previously approved Woodland storage conditional use permit located at 1434 East Main Street.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Commissioner
Okay.
Lopez.
So seconded by Commissioner Lopez. So we have a motion by Commissioner Lizarraga and a second by Commissioner Lopez. I'll now go through and poll each commissioner individually, yay or nay or abstain. So let's start with Commissioner Harris.
Yay.
Commissioner Holt.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst. I think you may be muted, Valerie.
You're muted.
She's not muted.
Yeah, Valerie, we can't hear you. So there we go. We got a thumbs up from Valerie. Okay, we got you on that one. Commissioner Lizarraga, you made the motion, but formally.
Yes, of course, I'm going to support my motion. I vote yes.
Excellent. Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Wong.
Yay.
Commissioner Steve, yes?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. And this is Chairman Wells, and I vote yes. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you,
I'd like
everyone.
to ask for clarification, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
The motion did not include any modification to the conditions. Is that correct?
That is correct. I believe that the intent is that we'll allow council, as we go through the different phases, and staff to work on those issues that were brought up, I think, quite well by Commissioner Holt.
Correct. That was my intent, Cindy.
Excellent.
It'll show in the staff report record.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so we will now move on to item I number 2, and that subject is Epic Brothers Enterprises, Inc., an expansion of commercial cannabis manufacturing facility, a proposed conditional use permit amendment to allow expansion of a non-volatile cannabis manufacturing facility located at 1230 Harder Avenue, Suite J, to include Suite H.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Uh,
Welcome.
Anna Canales, Assistant Planner. To provide a general overview regarding cannabis and the status of existing permitted uses, the city now has 4 approved commercial cannabis conditional use permits, including Epic Bros Enterprises and ProTurf, which are commercial cannabis manufacturing businesses, and Epic Pros Enterprises, a commercial cannabis distribution business. All 3 businesses are located off of Harder Avenue. The city has continued to receive regular payment from all 3 businesses, and annual business permit application reviews are being conducted. The existing businesses have further been working very closely with the police department and other city staff. The 4th issued commercial cannabis conditional use permit is for 1460 Tanforan, and the applicant has not yet moved forward, yet. However, there is a possibility for this permit to be transferred to a new owner contingent upon completion of a new commercial cannabis business permit application, submittal and review. And at this time, the city is still allowing up to 6 total commercial cannabis conditional use permits. The item before you this evening includes a request for the expansion of an existing commercial cannabis manufacturing facility to allow for the use of 1250 Harder Avenue, Suite J and Suite H. The overall project site is 3.66 acres in size and is occupied by 3 buildings at 460, 1230, and 1250 Harder Avenue. The subject building at 1230 Harder Avenue is an existing 1-story multi-tenant building, approximately 42,241 square feet in size, and houses multiple tenants. The property is north of existing industrial development, south of Harder Avenue, east of East Street, and west of further existing industrial development. The proposed use of 1250 Harder Avenue, Suite J and H will consist of a total of 8,027 square feet, with Suite J having an area of 4,027 square feet and Suite H having an area of 4,000 square feet. The proposed site is located in the industrial with light industrial flex overlay general plan land use district. There are several general plan policies that relate to this proposed use, and staff feels that the proposed use is consistent with the intent of these policies. The proposed site is located in the industrial with light industrial flex overlay zone. The site is located within an existing industrial park, which meets all standards and criteria required in the industrial district. There's adequate parking. The site is landscaped and in good condition. As outlined in the staff report, the proposed application and uses have been determined to be exempt from further CEQA review. The use will occupy an existing building that has been previously used for similar activities and does not propose expansion on the site. The project is consistent with the general plan and zoning requirements. Staff believes that the applicant meets the intent of the city conditional use permit criteria and no significant concerns have been identified. And here are the criteria that we look for. More criteria. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission find that the project is exempt from further environmental review pursuant to Class 1 and Class 32 category exemptions under the California Environmental Quality Act, and find that the exemptions reflect the independent judgment of the city as lead agency under CEQA. And approve City Planning Commission Resolution Number PC 20-10, recommending that the City Council approve a conditional use permit amendment to allow the expansion of a commercial cannabis non-volatile manufacturing facility at 1230 Harder Avenue to include both Suite J and Suite H with recommended conditions of approval. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take questions. The applicant is also here this evening to address any questions of the commission. Thank you.
Anna, thank you for that excellent presentation. At this point, I'll go down and ask each commissioner in order if they have any questions. And then at the end of our meeting, of course, we'll have time for any comments in general. But let's start. Commissioner Harris, any questions for staff?
No questions.
Thank you, Steve. Commissioner Holt, any questions for staff?
No, sir, no questions.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Hurst, any questions for staff?
No.
Thank you, Valerie. Any questions, Vice Chair Lizarraga, for staff?
No, sir, no questions.
Thank you, Marco. Commissioner Lopez, any questions for staff?
No questions for staff.
Thank you, Steve.
No questions.
No questions. Thank you, Steve. And I have no questions for staff. At this point, I'll open the meeting for a public hearing and ask staff if we have any public comments in regards to this item before the commission that have been received by either voicemail, email, or that are live on Zoom. Cindy?
We have no emails.
And no live Zooms, I'm assuming?
Is there any live Zoom?
There are no live Zoom callers.
Okay. Seeing that we have no public comment via voicemail, email, or via live Zoom, I now close the public hearing. And I'm going to go through and ask the staff or the commissioners once again individually if they have any comments for or questions of staff. So Commissioner Harris?
None.
Commissioner Holt?
No, sir, none.
Commissioner Hurst? No. Commissioner Lizarraga?
No questions, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lopez?
No questions for staff.
Commissioner Wong?
No questions.
Wonderful. At this point, I'd like to ask if I have a motion from commission for this item.
If I may, I would like to make a motion that we approve Planning Commission Resolution Number PC 2010, recommending that the City Council approve a conditional use permit amendment to allow the expansion of a commercial cannabis non-volatile manufacturing facility at 1230 Harder Avenue, Suite J to include Suite H with recommended conditions of approval.
I'll second that motion. Commissioner Lopez.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Lizarraga and a second by Commissioner Lopez. I'll go through and ask each commissioner individually, yay, nay, or abstain. So let's start with Commissioner Harris.
Yay.
Commissioner Holt.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
And Commissioner Lizarraga.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Fred. Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So that motion carries unanimously. And so thank you everyone for that. So now the motion passes and we move that on to the city council for their action. And so once again, the only item before us is, are there any commissioners that have any comments that they would like to make in closing? Let's start with Commissioner Harris.
None.
Thank you, Steve. Commissioner Hurst? Okay, that's a no from Commissioner Hurst. Commissioner Holt,
No, sir, I have none. Thank you.
and Vice Chair Lizarraga.
I love the expediency with which the meeting has gone this time.
Commissioner
you,
Lopez.
I concur with Vice Chair Lizarraga.
Thank you, Steve.
No
Thank
questions
you,
for
Fred.
staff and speedy process.
Excellent. Commissioner Wong.
No comments.
And my only comments is one, to thank everybody for bearing with us in this new technology, and thank all of my fellow commissioners, because each and every one of these individuals do a lot of work in preparation for these meetings. I also would like to thank staff, both very nice presentations. And Megan, I've received a number of mentions of appreciation of your last meeting and how well your presentation was completed. And so I really do appreciate your work. And Cindy, thank you for you. And with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, I might as well go ahead and make a motion to adjourn.
And
Okay,
I'll
we have
second
a
that
motion. We have a second.
Fred Lopez.
Fred, we have a motion by Marco. We have a second by Fred. All in favor, just go ahead and say aye.
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 Motion carries. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night. Good night, and thanks, everybody.
Night all.
See you in the next one.
Thanks, Jay.